Ravens fans, we have a loaded show coming your way on the Ravens Rundown, but before we get started, I want to hear from you in the comment section. Which do you like more? And both have been very, very eventful in the past. The NFL Draft Type D or NFL Free Agency Type F. Get those votes in, and let's chop it up and talk Ravens football right now. Welcome into the Ravens Rundown by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. The NFL Draft is right around the corner, but to start off today's show, we're going to get to the latest Baltimore Ravens free agency rumors pertaining to the running back position, and a big name who's still available and has been linked to be more. That is Melvin Gordon, formerly of the Denver Broncos, but had some really good years with the San Diego and Los Angeles Chargers. According to reports, the Ravens do have interest in the running back. He split reps last year with Javonte Williams, the rookie out of UNC, who burst onto the scene and really flashed as a high-level playmaker at that running back position. And while Melvin Gordon isn't the player that he once was during his prime, he would add veteran depth, a veteran presence, and a lot of experience to what was last year an injured backfield in Baltimore. And we know with this offense, as long as it's going to be led by Lamar Jackson, that running game and the success of it is going to be vitally important for the Ravens. Bleacher report linking Melvin Gordon to Baltimore, saying this recently: Baltimore should go ahead and get a deal done with Gordon before the NFL draft. Running backs J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and Justice Hill are all coming off season-ending injuries, and the Ravens need depth at the absolute best. At worst, their backfield won't be ready for week one. Yes, the Ravens could take a back in the NFL draft, but signing Gordon now would allow them to use their capital on other areas of need. And I think a player like Melvin Gordon, as evidenced by the numbers here, a better option than going after a Le'Veon Bell, because Gordon is by far and away the better running back, and I still think he has some juice in those legs. Last year, 918 rushing yards while splitting carries with Javonte Williams, 4.5 yards per pop, 3 yards that went more than 20 yards, which doesn't match up with what he was doing in his heyday, but not bad by any means, and 8 touchdowns. So at the very least, this is a veteran who can come in, be a 3-down back at times if he needs to be. He can certainly help you catch up with all the injuries in that backfield last year, catch the ball out of the backfield, but also he's a physical runner like Latavius Murray, and he can be really good and have success around the goal line. And I think that's important for this Baltimore Ravens offense. So with what Melvin Gordon was able to do last year, how he's progressed so far throughout his NFL career, I still think he has gas left in the tank. And you don't want to be in that situation that the Ravens were in at the end of last year when they had to make that signing for Le'Veon Bell. And when you compare the two players, because basically this is the roster slot that we're talking about here, it would be a Bell type of running back or maybe a Melvin Gordon. I would certainly side with the younger, less washed player in Melvin Gordon. So we'll see if that signing does come to fruition, and if it does, we'll of course let you know right here on the Ravens Rundown. That's why you subscribe to the channel. Producer Jeremy, he's been killing the game, multiple videos per week. Our subscribers continue to grow, and have you noticed that with the family growing here on the Ravens Rundown and on the Ravens Flock, we've been pushing out even more videos because more subscribers simply equals more content here on the show. Next up on the docket, J.C. Tretter, the top available center in free agency so far, has not signed anywhere. Now, he has leadership qualities because he was the head of the Players Association in the NFL, and he's a really good center. Last year, a top 6, top 10 guy. If you take a look at the analytics, the Ravens have been linked. He does have some injury concerns, but when he's right, when he's healthy, J.C. Tretter is really good. Bleacher report once again on the Ravens and Tretter maybe having some mutual interest, maybe not. Signing the 31-year-old Tretter would give Baltimore a reliable starter at center and take the position out of the early draft equation. Why reach for Tyler Linderbaum out of Iowa at number 14, or hope he falls to round 2, when the Ravens can sign Tretter and address other positions instead? It would make sense. Signing Tretter as soon as possible would. Now, the Ravens aren't the only team who are going to be vying for J.C. Tretter's services. A couple of teams here might be in the mix. Miami Dolphins do not have a center up to this point. The San Francisco 49ers could lose Alex Mack to retirement. And Kyle Shanahan, in his outside zone scheme, does prefer having experienced players at that center spot. That's why they put big money into Weston Richburg a couple of years ago. Injuries curtailed his career, then Alex Mack last year. And for the Dolphins, really along that offensive line, they're in a good spot right now, but J.C. Tretter would make that O-line even better with the weapons on the outside, the weapons in the backfield, and take some of the burden off Tua Tagovailoa. J.C. Tretter last year, 16 games played, only 1 sack allowed. So I want to put you in the shoes as the Ravens general manager right now. And once more, I want to hear from you down below in the comments section. You have one veteran to sign and one area to fulfill here. Is it center? Is it running back depth? You can only sign one of these players to make that ink official. Type JT for J.C. Tretter, MG for Melvin Gordon. Once again, get those votes in. To the NFL draft now. Baltimore, some really intriguing spots in the upcoming draft where they could address, you guessed it, some more positions of need as we've been talking about on today's show. How about Kaiir Elam out of Florida? Ravens Wire suggested that the Ravens should consider Elam. He'll most likely be there at number 14. Is that a little bit too early to take a player of this pedigree and of this ability? You take a look at the numbers that he was able to put forward last year. I like his ball skills a lot. 29 tackles, 1 interception, and 5 pass breakups. Good size, too. And we know that recent history, and really the long history of this Ravens franchise, points to their team-building philosophy, looking at corners who can, of course, play multiple positions, but corners who are physical, corners who have size in a very physical division in the AFC North, and corners who do have length. That's why they have players like Marcus Peters. That's why they have Marlon Humphrey. Kaiir Elam right along that mold, 6'2", 196 pounds, coming off a very good year at Florida. But I might rather go a different route. How about Trent McDuffie out of Washington? Not as big as Elam is, 5'11", 195. He doesn't have that 6'2 stature with some of that length. But are his instincts at the cornerback position a little bit better? And is he as good of an athlete, if not a little bit better? Now, the pass breakup numbers a little bit better than Elam. Didn't have a pick last year. Did have 35 tackles. I like McDuffie too because to that Ravens mold, he's not afraid to put his hat on the football. And in my opinion, when you look at the Ravens secondary right now, you're set at those 2 outside corner spots. So now you're trying to fulfill that slot duty that has been left vacant after Tavon Young signed with the Chicago Bears. And I think McDuffie is a better fit in the slot than Elam is. Once again, you can play the role of general manager, and that's why you subscribe, because we do fun things like this and pose these questions for you that put you in the war room. Pick a corner to draft. Are you going McDuffie out of Washington? If so, type M. Are you going Elam out of Florida? Get that E in. Either way, I'm going McDuffie. If you disagree with me, that's cool. Just let me know down below. Now, on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel over the last couple of years, we have been the most watched NFL draft coverage. A big reason for that, we go live all 3 days, all 7 rounds for every single selection. We're running it back. We're doing it again, and I want you to join us. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. If you plug in that link in a separate browser and let this video roll, you can subscribe to our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. Our NFL draft coverage simply is the best on the entire internet, and we don't plan on changing that anytime soon. More Ravens rumors to get to, this of the juicy variety. Deebo Samuel has informed the San Francisco 49ers that he wants a trade out of San Francisco. He's entering the final year of his rookie contract that would pay him less than $4 million. He wants a new deal. He wants a lot of money during an offseason in which the wide receiver market has exploded, and up to this point, the Niners haven't given him that contract. That's why right now he wants out. We're talking about a really special player, folks, who can impact the game in a variety of ways through the air and on the ground. Now, I think a big reason why Deebo Samuel can earn $20 to $30 million per year on his new contract is because of the versatility that he displayed last year. And while he's missed at least 1 game every single year of his career, last year he was special, only missed 1 matchup. 77 grabs, 1,400 yards, and 6 touchdowns just through the air. But he combined for 14 total touchdowns as he invented a new position called wideback because he played wide receiver and running back. 56 carries, 365 yards, and he took it to the crib 8 times just on the ground alone. Now, we're talking about Deebo not because they've made an official offer for him with the Niners, but we know that they've been in the market for a legitimate wide receiver to help out Lamar Jackson, whether it be a number 1 or a number 2. Deebo Samuel of the number 1 variety. And to the Niners' liking, the Baltimore Ravens do have some draft picks they could give up and squander if they want to bring Deebo to Baltimore. How about a first-round pick at number 14 and a 2023 second-round pick? Now, other teams might be able to offer more, and there are reports that the Niners want a king's ransom, but the Baltimore Ravens should certainly be in the mix because he would be awesome with Lamar in the backfield, but also as a wide receiver. Would you make this trade, number 14 and a second-round pick next year, in exchange for Deebo Samuel? Keep in mind that you'd have to pay him most likely. T for trade, P for pass. Get those votes in, subscribe, and thanks so much for watching today's show.